October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. In Frederick County, domestic violence affects people all across our community. The Domestic Violence Coordinating Council is Frederick County's newest board and commission, and I'm so excited that we've begun the hard work of collaborating among a diverse group of stakeholders to see how we can continue to educate the community with the hope of preventing and ultimately ending domestic violence in our community. With the COVID-19 pandemic, the Hartley House saw over a 50% increase in the number of clients served from 2019 to 2020, so we know that this issue is continuing to hit our families hard. The Domestic Violence Coordinating Council is made up of a diverse group of members, all committed to working on this critical issue.
Domestic violence, also called intimate partner violence, is any pattern of behavior that is used to control and abuse a spouse, an intimate partner, a boyfriend, a girlfriend. It's not only physical abuse, although many of us feel that way. It's also emotional abuse and verbal abuse, financial abuse, isolation from friends and family, thereby controlling all the movements and actions of the victim. The idea about domestic violence, the point of it is to control another person.
Domestic violence is a crime. Nobody is allowed to hit you, kick you, shove you, or harm you in any way, including your spouse. At the Frederick Police Department, our goals are to hold the offenders accountable through the criminal justice system, to promote the victim's safety and recovery from crime, and to prevent domestic violence. The Victim Services Unit supports those goals by working with victims to link them with resources to meet their specific needs, including emergency shelter, counseling services, free legal assistance, and more. When it comes to domestic abuse, it's easy to think there's no way out. But we want you to know there is help. There is a way out.
During Domestic Violence Awareness Month, it's important to recognize that children are often the hidden victims of domestic violence. It is estimated that more than 15 million children in the United States are exposed to domestic violence each year. Children who are exposed to domestic violence may endure the same stressors as children who are exposed to other traumatic events. The CDC reports that up to 45 to 60% of children who have been exposed to violence in their homes have occurring child abuse. Our community is here to help. You are not alone.
As a prosecutor, it's my job to fight for justice for victims of crime and ensure accountability for perpetrators. But the job of a prosecutor isn't one that just occurs in a courtroom. And as such, I've become involved in the community fight against domestic violence. And as the recently elected chair of the Domestic Violence Coordinating Council, I know that to effectively combat domestic violence, we need an all-hands-on-deck approach. That means not only criminal accountability for offenders, but increased prevention, community engagement, education, and resources for victims, perpetrators, and their families. And these are things that we know that we can only accomplish together as a multi-agency Domestic Violence Coordinating Council, engaging agencies and community. And as such, we've recently adopted our mission statement at the DVCC. And the mission is that the DVCC exists to promote and facilitate an effective, trauma-informed community response to domestic violence, and to increase collaboration and communication between government agencies, nonprofit organizations, and community stakeholders in order to maximize resources to address, prevent, and ultimately eliminate domestic violence in Frederick County.
On October 26th, Hartley House and the Domestic Violence Coordinating Council are co-sponsoring a webinar event to discuss the history of the domestic violence movement. We're going to go back a long way in time to BC, and we're going to bring it all the way up to date to 2021. It's at 7 p.m. on October 26th. It is free registration, and it's all virtual. You can register at our site at hartleyhouse.org. If you're seeing this video after October 26th, please check out our site, hartleyhouse.org, to view a recording.
And now I will read a proclamation for Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Whereas, domestic violence is a serious crime that affects people of all races, ages, genders, and income levels. 1 in 4 women and 1 in 14 men will experience intimate partner violence in their lifetime. The effects of violence reach far beyond its victims and perpetrators, causing disruption in schools, places of worship, workplace, and neighborhoods. And Whereas Frederick County remains dedicated to eradicating domestic violence and helping victims and survivors find the compassion, comfort, and healing they need. And whereas during Domestic Violence Awareness Month, we underscore the county's commitment to ending domestic violence and ensuring that victims find the professional support they need. We also commend the many organizations and individuals in our community, both professional and volunteer, who provide critical advocacy, services, and assistance to victims and survivors of domestic violence 24 hours a day. And whereas Hartley House, for example, has provided comprehensive services to victims of domestic violence, sexual assault, and child abuse in the Frederick community since 1979, we encourage our citizens to learn more about the services Hartley House offers and to use these services to prevent further abuse and violence. Now, therefore, on behalf of the County Executive of Frederick County, Maryland, we hereby proclaim the month of October 2021 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month in Frederick County, and we do commend this observance to all of our citizens. Signed on behalf of Frederick County, Maryland by County Executive Jan Gardner, presented this first day of October 2021.